Thank you, Dr. Littlechild, for such an impactful opening to what will be an important and memorable summit. Good morning, everyone. Bonjour à tous. Je vous souhaite la bienvenue. It's an honor to welcome you to the first Beyond the Board Summit hosted by Hockey Canada. To have this many leaders in hockey and sports in general in one room, committed to listening and learning to subject matter experts and those who have experienced hardships in the game of hockey, is a tremendous step to changing the culture of the game. We appreciate that you've all made it a priority to be here with us for this important event. Last December, the Hockey Canada Board of Directors were elected by our members to a special one-year term, one of many recommendations from a report completed by the Honorable Thomas Cromwell, CC. The mandate stemming from a one-year term would allow our board to prioritize making the necessary changes to pressing issues for the organization, including governance, sports safety, financial transparency and accountability, as well as leadership renewal. We knew that transforming the culture of hockey and regaining the confidence of Canadians would not happen overnight. However, we are pleased with the meaningful progress that has been made to improve the sport while recognizing that there is much more work to do. Let me highlight some of the things that Hockey Canada has been able to accomplish since last December. We've approved and implemented critical governance changes in collaboration with our members, enhanced the organization's sports safety initiatives, including through a renewed and expanded partnership with Respect Group, published our audited financial statements for the first time, completed an audit of government funding, which in part led to the reinstatement of the Government of Canada's funding, hired Catherine Henderson as our President and Chief Executive Officer, who you'll be meeting and hearing from very shortly. We spent a lot of time listening to our stakeholders and many Canadians on what they expect of Hockey Canada and hockey in Canada moving forward, and how we can all advance the sport together and make Canadians proud of our national winter sport. We can't overestimate the importance of where we are today. Hockey is under greater scrutiny than it's ever undergone. Ironically, when we speak about the issues plaguing hockey, it's as if the sport itself is to blame, but the sport of hockey in its purest form is something that we can all embrace. In times of particular challenge or stress, I'm drawn back to the picture I have of youngsters learning the game on a Saturday morning, still needing their parents to help them put on their skates. You've probably had similar experiences to mine, where you had difficulty getting the kids up for school during the week, but on Saturday morning, when there might be a 7 a.m. practice, for some inexplicable reason, your son or daughter was the first one out of bed and ready to get going. We're familiar with all the things that make this game such a beautiful game. We talk about it being our game, a game that we think everyone who wants to play should have an opportunity to do so. But then the adults take over, and before you know it, the first negative impressions are formed. At my son's engagement party a few years ago, his novice coach, a coach who coached him back when he was a novice hockey player, was one of the invited guests at the party. He came up to me and said, "I've got a story to tell you. Mark and this coach's son have remained friends since they were 8 or 9 years old, and he had stayed in contact with the coach over the years. The coach told me about a time when he was coaching these 9-year-old boys. The team had lost the game, and the coach was giving them a lecture about their performance, likely using some colorful and irreverent language. The coach told me that after the kids got changed and started to leave the dressing room, my son came up to him with a serious look on his face and said, 'Coach, don't you know that you're not supposed to use the Lord's name in vain?' He laughed as he relayed this story to me. I said, 'Well, it must have had an impact on you. You remember it over 20 years later.' The coach said, 'Yes, it reminded me of how powerful my words can be and how I needed to be careful with the language I used with these impressionable young boys.' For many, the memories and experiences with hockey have been largely positive, but we've heard from so many other Canadians, our neighbors, our friends and family, who have had negative experiences in the game, and it's impacted their love of hockey and of sport. They tell us that hockey has failed to make them feel safe and welcome, on and off the ice. Raising two boys of color who played the game, I can certainly relate to some of those distressing experiences. But we have a license to speak up and to speak out if we're serious about changing the culture. I firmly believe that the most difficult aspect of this journey is the willingness to talk about it, to leave ourselves open to some uncomfortable and upsetting conversations. We need to identify the issues, take ownership, and then identify ways in which we can push for change. I believe that there's a tremendous amount of goodwill amongst Canadians to join in this movement for change. I'm constantly approached by individuals and groups who want to help, who want to be part of the solution. There have been many overtures, but there's one story I'd like to share with you about one man's personal journey to make hockey better. I'll share the story in his words. Between the ages of 4 and 20, hockey was a huge part of my life. I started playing hockey from sunup to sundown on the creek behind my house as a kid. I went on to play AAA minor hockey, then on to junior. Throughout, hockey was my main focus in life. It was my passion, my outlet, and my teammates were my primary social circle. I was raised by two great parents who did their best to teach me right from wrong. But the culture of my hockey world was also a powerful influence. I always wanted the approval of my coaches and teammates, and I worked hard to earn it. Hockey taught me valuable lessons about loyalty, teamwork, preparation, and handling pressure that continue to serve me well in my professional life today. It instilled these things in me without me even being aware of it at the time. That's one of the best things about amateur sports. You absorb ideas and principles without effort because the learning is fun. As I got older, the off-ice part of hockey became more central in my life. As a teenager, I learned about alcohol, partying, and taking things to the limit. I believe I probably would have developed a problem with alcohol even if I'd not played hockey. But looking back now, I see that playing junior hockey was like pouring gas on a fire. In hockey, I was surrounded by many like-minded young men, and we fed off each other. Getting blackout drunk became the norm. Putting myself and teammates in dangerous situations was commonplace and something to be admired, even celebrated. I loved it. That's what I believed real men did. If you didn't drink like that, I just saw there's something wrong with you, certainly not with me. Our competitiveness meant pushing things further and further. By some miracle, our off-ice behavior never resulted in a catastrophic event for my teammates, myself, or anyone around us. Eventually, and I believe inevitably, my fuse ran out. The toxic mixture of alcohol and hard living detonated in my life when I was in my 30s. That bomb detonating nearly cost me everything. I crashed my truck while driving drunk. Every day I'm thankful I did not hurt anyone. As a result of driving drunk, I lost my job. As awful and terrifying as it was also a wake-up call. I realized I was tired of living the way I had been. I asked for help, and I was lucky. I had the support of my family and friends. I went through a 30-day rehabilitation program. I attended 12-step meetings. I took a hard look at my life and how I got there. I gained and have maintained my sobriety, and I got my job back. I now enjoy time with my partner, my family, and friends. I still play hockey twice a week and look forward to it. I still let in some bad goals. And I do not drink anymore. I would never have thought that possible. In my view, although it may also seem impossible, hockey's relationship with alcohol needs to change. I'm living proof that it is possible, no matter how dark things get. Like all of us, I've learned a number of alcohol-related catastrophes involving young hockey players in recent years. When I learned of them, my reaction was to want to try to help to find a way forward. I didn't act. I was not sure how I could help, and to be honest, I was scared of what the repercussions would be for me personally. Would people think I was preaching or holier than thou? That has never been my desire or intention. I share my experience with you in the hope that it can benefit other young players who love hockey as much as I do and have for most of my life. In sobriety, one of the most difficult things I still struggle with is remembering a life spent playing hockey with teammates, our accomplishments, and the fun we had while grappling with the realization and acceptance of the fact that it was at times dangerous and personally destructive. And I was one of the people who made it that way. In my view, this is analogous to the battle that the hockey community is currently fighting, but one it can ultimately win if it too has the courage to change. In my experience, it is not easy, but it is worth it. I wanted to take this time to share this young man's story because I find it to be a powerful example of a difficult journey that was clearly worth it. He spoke of just one issue, his introduction to excessive alcohol consumption. And we know that there are many other issues which our speakers and panelists will delve into, at least some of them will delve into. Some issues will be examined in this next day and a half. Hockey's issues are reflective of many societies' issues, but we have the opportunity to demonstrate real leadership in determining how we're going to change the culture. So how do we go about this? This summit is an opportunity to hit the reset button and reimagine what hockey can look like, feel like, and represent to Canadians. For the next day and a half, it's an opportunity for all of us to contribute to transforming the game of hockey so that future generations can feel represented from the grassroots level up to the professional ranks. It's on us to get to the cause of the symptoms that are plaguing hockey and contributing to so many negative experiences for players, coaches, officials, administrators, volunteers, and fans. When we began exploring what the format of Beyond the Board Summit might be, it was critical to us that this wasn't an exercise led by Hockey Canada. We recognize that we aren't leaders in this space and that subject matter experts and those with lived experiences are the ones who can help us reflect on the toxic behaviors that exist in hockey, how they've shaped our experiences, and how we can move forward to improve the culture of the game at all levels, in all communities. Dr. Teresa Fowler undertook a thorough literature review on the history of the culture of hockey in Canada. And as you'll hear from her, the review provides research-informed insights to advance meaningful change for hockey culture and was done to help inform how we can all lead change moving forward. Her research identified the themes that will inform the format of Beyond the Boards, including at this first summit, covering facets of hockey culture that exist in the game. Toxic masculinity is an issue that was covered extensively in the literature review. And although we cannot change the decades-long impact it has had on hockey culture in 2 days, the presenters and panelists that are joining us this weekend will help us reflect on its history in hockey and guide us on our journey to take action to make positive changes to hockey's culture. Shortly, we will hear from Minister Qualtrough, who was recently named Minister of Sport and Physical Activity, which marks the second time that she's overseen this portfolio in her distinguished career. Minister Qualtrough rearranged her extremely busy schedule to attend the summit and has another engagement later this morning, so we're most grateful that she's with us for this first section of the agenda. We look forward to hearing from her and working with her and her colleagues as we strive to be leaders in delivering safe and inclusive programs to all Canadians. 3 days ago, Catherine Henderson began her tenure as our President and Chief Executive Officer. We're extremely excited to have her lead the ongoing transformation of Hockey Canada. And as you'll hear this morning, her vision for the future of hockey is inspiring. We're certainly glad that timing allows her to be a participant and speaker at the first summit. I'm really looking forward to the reflective panel with Bain Pettinger, Emily Castonguay, Melody Davidson, and Sheldon Kennedy. That portion of the summit will be critical in helping us understand firsthand the lived experiences that these individuals have had throughout their lives and careers in hockey. A special thank you to the Voice of Women's Hockey on TSN, Kenzie Lalonde, who will be moderating the panel. Of course, we're all eager to hear from Sheldon and Jamie Clark during their respective keynote speeches, as they both have important perspectives on leadership in sport and beyond. Bill Proudman will take us through interactive sessions on leading at the intersection of masculinity and hockey. And as an acclaimed facilitator, we were extremely appreciative that he was willing to lead and design these sessions for us. We know that a great deal of preparation has led to what we will experience today and tomorrow. Finally, I'd like to acknowledge Pat McLaughlin and Denise Patton, who have served as executive co-leads for the Beyond the Board Summit, as well as the executive and planning committees for undertaking a considerable amount of work to allow us all to be here today. Beyond the Boards is not a one and done. It's not a public relations exercise. We intend for the summits to create open and sometimes uncomfortable discussions that are necessary to advance the sport and ensure that for generations to come, Canadians can be proud of what hockey is and what hockey represents. We are grateful that you're all here to be part of this journey with us, because it won't be easy and it won't be quick. But there is strength in numbers. And with all 150 of us committed to changing the culture of hockey, the sport will be better for it in the future. Thank you to our presenters and panelists for leading us through sessions that I hope we will all approach with openness and vulnerability. To all of you participating, thank you for joining us and for your support of this important milestone for the sport of hockey. Barack Obama, before he became president, said that change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. I'm confident that years from now, we'll all look back on this weekend as a TSN turning point to improve the culture of hockey. And by being here, we trust that you share our optimism that the change starts here. Now is the time. C'est le moment. Merci. Thank you.